blues fans, welcome back here. Had a couple weeks off. I was up playing in New England, visiting some friends, enjoying nice weather, and now I'm back in Austin. Yeah, trying to avoid the heat. Anyway, in that little intro clip, what I was doing was actually outlining chords that don't exist in the blues. They're sort of like approach chords or anticipatory chords. I'm blanking on a better name for that. Anyway, let me show you exactly what I'm talking about, and this is probably familiar to you guys. When we're playing chords in the blues, we can always approach the downbeat of a measure from like a half step above or a half step below. So you could play the blues, right? If we were playing in G and I went bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, and I went, here's, right? That C chord fell exactly when the 4 chord is supposed to hit, on the downbeat of measure 5, right? So as long as we land at the appropriate time, we could leave and play, any number of chords anticipating that change, right? I could play from 2 half steps above, right? I could go bar 1, here's bar 2, here's bar 3, here's 4, right? So, I think, we hear like T-Bone Walker play, right? Excuse me. So these sort of like moving chord shapes around adds a lot of color, and it's very, very cool. And there's no reason why you can't do that in your lines, right? A great way to start is to just play something really slowly up to bar 4, and then try to outline your approach chord, right? And try to play very deliberately just the notes of the approach chord. So you're playing really inside on the chord that doesn't exist, right? So it's going to sound a little freaky for your ear. You'll have to teach your ear to hear this, all right? But it does work, and it really just highlights tension that already exists in this motion from 1 to 4, okay? So let me give you a couple examples, and see if I can land it. So 1, a 2, a 1, 2, a 3. Right? I play. Sorry. All of those notes belong to this chord right here, D flat, right? Right? When I landed on this note, that was the and of 4. The very next note needed to be some note in the chord of C, because that's when the C hits on the downbeat of measure 5, right? So this note coincided with the fall of that, right? Let me see if I can do that again. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Right. So anyway, I'm playing the chord afterwards. It's a habit, right, from playing live all the time. You got to lay the chord down, and incidentally, it's fine to put the chord on another beat other than the downbeat. But I think the line you need to kind of know when the chord change is happening, and you need to kind of stick the landing, or it sounds like you're just playing a bunch of random notes willy-nilly. So anyway, these ideas are really great, and they can really create excitement in your lines. And I would say just start very slowly and play something out of the 1 chord and see if you can find, some of these approach chords, right? Right? And if if you have a little loop pedal, you can put a loop of the blues in and just hit that part of the blues progression over and over and over and over again, right? There are any number of chords you can use. D flat is only one of them. One of the chords I like to use, it comes from the diminished scale. I hesitate to say that because, again, like, I'm not really like a scale person. I never think of soloing from scales. I think of soloing from chords. But an E triad, all the notes of an E triad actually belong to this sort of A flat diminished chord, which is the chord that you would use to approach 4. Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much. However, you can look it up. There's all kinds of theory crap on the internet. However, I'm going to use an E chord. Okay, I'll do it right now. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here's G, right? Here's my E. Right? I added a couple of other notes that belong to C slightly before the downbeat of measure 5. Okay? Right? But that's okay. Sounds great. They belong to C. All is forgiven once the downbeat of C hits. Let me do it again. Okay? So you could, essentially what you can do is this approach chord, you could move this approach chord in minor thirds. So you could play some sort of D flat triad, you could play some sort of E triad, right? You could play G, of course, because our chord is G, right? Or you could play some kind of B flat chord, and all those chords sound as that they approach C in this very appropriate way, right? We could play G, then play D flat, right? We could play the E, which I just did. Here it comes. Right? Here's well, we already know G works. Right? What about B flat? Well, the B flat chord looks like this, right? Right? Or, right, the sort of Hendrix position. You could play ideas from that and land on C. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3. Right? It's almost like minor pentatonic. Right? But those notes all belong to the B7. Anyway, so I hope this helps. Again, as usual, take things slowly, right? Work through them. I think, one thing that often does not get discussed is that really what you want to do is you want to improvise from things you've already worked out, right? The guys that sound like they're just pulling things out of thin air, those are the guys that have worked out a larger pool of things, right? They worked out a larger pool of solutions on navigating chord changes, okay? And so they're improvising from this huge pool of all these tools that they have, right? You can do that too. You just need to start with the first one, right? Create a cool lick based upon this idea of just playing an approach chord, right? Find one that you like and then play that one over and over and over again, right? When you get sick of that one, come up with another one. All right, listen, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.